People are always coming up to me asking me, why self-realization? What's the point of that? Isn't that just the weird stuff in the weird books that my yoga teacher reads? Or isn't that just the weird stuff that you find in those quotes on that like really spiritual Instagram account? And yeah, it is. But also, it is wildly practical. So think of it this way. You have lunch one day, it's a beautiful day, you have lunch, and then you leave the restaurant, you're walking down the sidewalk, and like 30 seconds later, you just find yourself falling through the air, just plummeting down towards the earth. You're in a free fall. The wind is rushing past your face. Your stomach is in your throat. Your heart, just adrenaline, like everything is going all at once, right? You're in free fall. Now, that would be terrifying. No doubt you'd be, just stuck in an instinctual response that was all about trying to keep yourself from dying and trying to minimize the damage to your body when you hit the ground, right? So now, if we simply take a different perspective by looking and paying attention to what's going on in the moment, shifting the perspective a little bit, and this includes zooming out a little bit. So instead of being really tight on that, everything that's going on as you're falling, zoom back a little bit. You might notice that you're actually in some sort of vehicle and there's a bar across your lap. And you might notice that you're on a roller coaster in an amusement park. And that would change a lot of stuff about that experience. The circumstances would all be the same. Wind rushing past you, falling towards earth at a fast rate. Your stomach in your throat, your heart beating, some adrenaline, right? Like all of those circumstances are the same. You were just at lunch and now you're falling through the air. But you did this willingly and you don't actually believe you're about to die because you're on a roller coaster, and that's not really how they work because it's not a great business model. So you are able to have different choices, different options available to you in that moment when you zoom back, see what's actually going on, take in some of the context, because now you can raise your hands over your head and scream in enjoyment. You can laugh at your friend next to you. You can make a funny face for the camera when you get to that point. You can simply enjoy it. Again, circumstances are just the same, but you can still have some enjoyment of that terror of the free fall, right? And again, that was by taking in some of the context. Okay, so in this meditation course, when I'm working with people, and what we're going to do in this course is some very simple exercises that help you see what is happening in the moment. And this is just stuff that you've been ignoring your whole life. It's been there your whole life. And that's the beautiful thing. This isn't some mystical, esoteric, drawn out journey. This is simple, direct observations of what is happening in the moment. Okay, so there's the long path, which is esoteric, mystical, sit around and meditate, wait for a spiritual experience to hit you. And then there is another much more direct path. That's what we're doing in this course. And I'll give you a quick example. It's one of the first exercises that we do in the class to simply pay attention to something that you have been ignoring your entire life is to take your gaze, just look at like a flat wall or a flat surface, a table, something like that. Just don't pay attention to any particular object. Leave your eyes stationary and take in the entire field of vision. So you're taking in the periphery as well as what's directly in front of you, keeping your eyes still. If you raise your hands up in front of you so that they're in your visual field, you see them, right? Again, take in the whole field and then slowly move them apart until you can't see them anymore. And do that on the top and bottom as well. And you'll find that your visual field, when you feel the edges, when you go to the edge and then beyond being where your hands disappear, you find that that edge is basically an oval. So your visual field, as long as you're not moving your eyes around, your visual field is basically an oval. You probably haven't paid attention to that, first of all, but maybe you have. But this is just a direct observation. You can see it and you can check it over and over again. But the other thing you probably didn't really pay attention to is that when you move your hands or anything outside of that oval, it disappears, right? As long as you don't add thought and say, well, no, my hand is now 3 feet away from my head, like, you know, 1.5 feet or 2 feet away from your head, most likely. As long as you don't add that thought and you just simply pay attention to what's happening visually in your direct experience in this moment, your hands disappear. And if you pay attention to what they disappear into, it's kind of a nothingness. You can sense that there's a nothingness there. And it's as simple as, you know, paying attention to the oval of your visual field and noticing what is surrounding it on all sides. There is an edge. What's beyond that edge? It's a nothingness of sorts. Now, with a few more steps, that becomes impactful. That becomes something by paying attention to what has been there the whole time, your whole life, but you simply have not paid attention to. That can become something that can change any experience in your life, from feeling like a free fall where your life is on the line, your health, your safety is on the line, to feeling like a roller coaster where you can throw up your hands and just be like, man, this is one hell of a ride. Here we go, this is happening. And you still feel it all. Your stomach is still in your throat sometimes. It takes a little bit of the edge off, but you know, the same way it does when you know you're on a roller coaster, but it changes the experience of it, you know, the real tone of the experience of your life, to allow some enjoyment even in those challenging situations, but also to bring in the sense of safety that you have on a roller coaster that you don't have if you just find yourself falling through the air, plummeting towards earth, not knowing you're on a roller coaster. So this is an example of how self-realization is wildly practical, how it is relevant to everybody's life, because there's a massive difference between plummeting towards earth without a parachute and without knowing what's happening, and being on a roller coaster that's on a long downhill trajectory before it shoots back up in the air. So, if you're interested in this sort of effect in your life, sign up for the course. The meditation course is, it's fun, it's practical, it's direct, it's logical, it's all about what you can directly observe through very simple observations like I demonstrated today. If that sounds like it's for you, I'd love to see you there. Life is hard enough. Let's make this really important thing, this possibility of self-realization, let's make it easy.